All right, Clayton, thanks so much. 3 Americans were arrested this week and charged with supporting ISIS, one even offering to kill President Obama, raising further concern over terrorist recruiting right here in our own backyard. One particular community of Somali refugees in Minnesota has been a regular target for radicalizing by the terrorist group Al-Shabaab. So how real is this threat? Our next guest has had an inside look. Joining us now, former special agent for the Immigration and Naturalization Service, Michael Cutler. Michael, good morning. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
So what brought you into these communities and what have you seen?
Well, I was doing some speaking engagements, and local law enforcement and a member of the city council said, why don't you take a tour of the community? And I went. I also toured the prisons. I was actually in the jail cell where Moussaoui, the 20th hijacker, was in Minnesota. You know, everyone keeps thinking New York and terrorism. This is a problem that permeates the whole country. You're dealing with a very close-knit, closed society. And when you live in a little enclave, in a bubble, and especially when you're dealing with younger people who are looking for an identity, and when that community provides the identity and doesn't emphasize being part of the larger American society, you have a problem.
I mean, that's a great point, but getting political asylum and being able to get all of these benefits in the fruitful United States of America, what on earth would make them want to be radicalized and turn on us and cause as much carnage as possible?
Well, look at Jihad John. I mean, we've proven, I think, clearly that this isn't about a lack of education, no matter what the folks at State Department at Foggy Bottom have to say. This is an ideology. Look, bin Laden was well educated. He had advanced degrees. This isn't about a lack of education and opportunities. It's about an ideology that pervades their society.
And Michael, the 9/11 Commission warned against this. Why is our political asylum program, why is it so broken, do you believe?
Well, it's broken because we're not putting the resources into it. And look, you've got people talking about comprehensive reform. We have 50 border states. Forget the nonsense about the 4 border states. Any state with an international airport or a seaport or lies along the northern or southern border provides access to the United States. The idea that this administration, and the Republicans are happy with the idea of giving identity documents to people who snuck into the country, undocumented perhaps, but they're also uninspected. You wouldn't get on an airplane with people who snuck past TSA. These are people who snuck past a similar inspections process. You know, we spend $3.3 billion a year inspecting passengers and cargo entering the U.S. Loretta Lynch, the woman that wants to be the next attorney general, said it doesn't matter how you come here. Well, if it doesn't matter, why are we bothering with the charade? The bottom line is that all that they are doing right now violates the findings and recommendations of the 9/11 Commission. I provided testimony to that commission. And the idea that we've gone from 26 visa waiver countries on 9/11 to 38 visa waiver countries when the 9/11 Commission said, go after the visa process, tighten it up. Be careful about immigration fraud. They even made the point that a lack of interior enforcement unwittingly conspired to enable the terrorists not only to enter our country, but to embed themselves. We have no interior enforcement, no integrity to the process. Think of what kind of risks this creates for us.
And specifically the recruiting hotbed there in Minnesota. What are some of the things that you've seen with your own eyes?
Well, again, it's a closed community. You have people that put themselves apart from the rest of society.
In what ways?
Well, by their attire. They speak a foreign language in their own little enclave. And if you're not bringing people into the mainstream, you know, my mother came here from Poland ahead of the Holocaust. Her first order of business was learning English, becoming an American.
Right, so you're sensitive to this.
Absolutely. Look, I'm a big fan of asylum with one provision. The screening process must never be done haphazardly. We have to err on the side of the safety of America and Americans. You know, a family doesn't race into a building to save other kids. They save their own children first. Americans are at risk. I'm willing to take ISIS at their word when they say they want to come here. So when you look at what they're threatening to do and what they have done, all the violence, and when you listen to politicians from both sides of the aisle agreeing with comprehensive reform that would give identity documents to people whose identities, dates of entry, even countries of citizenship can't be determined, how in the world do you protect us? You know, if you're not going to secure your borders and enforce your laws, you don't have a need for a military. The military's mission is to keep our enemy away from us. If they can walk through the airport and be admitted into the United States, what's the mission of our military?
Right, we need to protect ourselves within our borders and protect ourselves abroad. Michael Cutler, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Great insight. 47 minutes.